going on, people of Earth? My name is Chilly Dilly, back at you with another chill-ass story time. I know it's been a couple months, I'm sorry, I try to get these out every month, but I do sometimes slack, but today I do have a pretty good one for you today. Today I'm going to be talking about the story, the time that I was a senior in high school, and I ended up hanging out with these college kids. I just met and hung out with this dude for one day, but he did live with a bunch of people, and they were having a college-type party with all the homies, and one of the dudes that came in there smoked and literally passed out and pretty much almost broke his neck on the door. Just completely slammed his face in the wall. But we're going to talk more about that. Before we get too far into that though, shout out to today's sponsor, JK Distro. They allow me to do these kinds of videos because YouTube does not want to pay me. And yeah, so shout out to them. We are going to be smoking some of their flower. If you guys don't know, JK Distro is a legal flower company that, in my opinion, has the most wide variety of strains and really any kind of products and strain you could want. If you see some big weed tuber smoke some kind of crazy strain that you think you can't try, I bet JK Distro will have it. Cheers. And cheap. Okay, so like I said, this story time does start when I was like 18, senior in high school. When I met Wesley, I was already 18, so that's how I can always remember that. I did have to sit down and think about this for a couple days, and I had to really remember why that even happened, because why did it not happen to the rest of us? And I literally just remembered a couple hours before doing this. But anyway, the day started out like any normal day for me and Wesley. We skipped school, which I definitely don't recommend people do, and we decided that we were going to drive around and smoke. I'm sure like most other 18-year-old and senior smokers at that time, you didn't have enough money to have a large quantity, so you're smoking like maybe an eighth every other day to every day. Couldn't even take it home type shit. So getting every day was pretty much the regular thing. I want to say this had to be around like January, February, because it was kind of like winter time in South Carolina, but it's just like darker and a little bit more cold, so nothing really terrible. But anyway, our regular plugs were not hitting us back, so where Wesley had lived in that city for a majority of his life, he knew a good amount of dealers, so we had to hit up somebody else, and they told us to meet them at this apartment complex, right? We didn't think anything of it. We go there, and we're literally sitting there, and this other dude is also waiting outside. So I thought it was him, and I was like, oh, is that the dude? And he was like, nah, I don't think so. And then like we got out of the car and we're just waiting around the car, and I think we were playing Frisbee too. Like, I know that sounds dumb, but when you got nothing to do but wait, you just try to think of things to pass the time. Anyway, it had been like 20 minutes and the dude was still out there waiting as well. And then he walked up to us and was like, are you waiting on this person? And I was like, yeah. And Wesley was like, yeah. And then so the dude actually pulled up like a couple minutes later after that. He was actually selling to both of us. And we thought that was pretty cool. So we started talking, ended up, I think the dude's name was like Ian or something like that. Like, I really can't remember that much because I got really fucked up later, and we're gonna get into that. And once again, it was such a random thing. I met this person for one day. We only had this one night experience. It was kind of like an all-day thing, I want to say that was probably around like 2 that we got the flower, and I want to say that we stayed there until like 1 a.m. So we were there, right? We get the flower, whatever, and the dude's like, oh, okay, cool. So like we both know the same people, whatever. He was like, do you guys want to match? Sure, why not? He's like, my apartment's right here. I was like, bet, even better. Pretty sure this dude was like a senior in college because he was like 21 or 22 because they had alcohol in the house. And the first thing that we notice when we get in there is a bunch of bongs, and it's like a high school, or sorry, not high school, college kind of like 20-year-old, not even like frat, but just dirty, bongs everywhere, beer cans everywhere, just a norm, you know what I mean? It wasn't too bad, didn't smell too bad. But first thing we do, we get in there, we start taking like hella bong rips, and I'm like super fried already, and I'm not really thinking anything of it. And I guess he thought that we were college students, so he was like, oh, like what class or what major you guys getting and all this? And we were like, huh? And he was like, oh, you guys not in college? We were like, no, we're fucking seniors in high school, man. But we were both 18, so like it was cool. Anyway, so we start playing the Nintendo 64, the Super Smash Bros. Melee, I believe, the first one. And because he was like, oh, bro, I love this game. And anytime somebody's like, let's play a fighting game, I'm never going to say no. So me and him literally start playing for hours, taking bong rips. And I don't even really notice it, but like more people start coming in, like his roommate, like his roommate's friend. I mean, why would I care? I'm literally just a visitor here. You know what I mean? And now like everybody's pulling up, and now we all have bud to share. People are drinking. I can't remember if I did or not. I want to say that I probably had a couple drinks, but I've told you guys this many times. I definitely was not a big drinker when I was younger. I would maybe do it on occasion, but you know, I generally just like to smoke because I just like when I was younger, I would drink and just puke because I didn't understand the controlling aspect and like finding stuff I actually like. The only reason I'm questioning myself, not only because it's been 9 years, but also to me, whenever I'm like trying to remember something, if it's a little too foggy, then I always assume that I was on something else other than flour, whether that be drinking. I don't think I really started taking Xans at the time, but I might have been. I want to say that I maybe had a couple drinks because if it was offered, I probably took it. Anyway, all this like college homies start coming there, and it's not like a party. It's definitely not some kind of party, but it was like 10 people there, and it was a pretty big like 2-bedroom apartment, you know. And I would say that there were other college kids around, and everybody's drinking, smoking, having a great time. Jesus, I feel like I have something stuck in my throat. Pause. But it was a really good evening. I'm actually not gonna lie. And even the only reason it was even ruined was because I genuinely thought that like somebody just broke their spine. So let's get more into that, right? That's what you guys actually came here for. Had a hair in my fucking mouth. But anyway, so we're all smoking, and then a couple other people come along, and then this one like group of like, I would say like typical fucking college kids, like pretty douchey South Carolina looking college kids. Anyway, I am like 95% sure because I had this like epiphany of remembering the other day because I was thinking about this so much, because I thought, why did that happen though? Because like I said, like, yeah, I could understand if you're drinking, smoking too much, like you could trip or something, but that's not what happened in this scenario. This dude literally like took a hit, passed out, like turned around. Anyway, I am like 95% sure that they brought K2, Spice, whatever you want to call it, the synthetic weed that was popular back in the day, and that you could still buy online during that time and probably buy in some smoke shops and gas stations. And once again, it was college kids, so God knows what they had their hands on. And yeah, so I'm like 95% sure when that group came, because I remember we were all smoking, and then somebody started taking around a like almost like a one-hitter kind of pipe, and before anybody's like, oh man, it's fucking like something really bad. No, it was not like anything heavy. I mean, K2 was actually pretty fucking heavy. That shit is terrible for you, but I'm pretty sure it was like the Spice, because that's what they were calling it, or they were calling it something else. Probably K2. I think they were just calling it Spice, but anyway, they were passing around like regular blunts, regular joints, regular bongs, but then they had that little one hitter, and like only certain people were taking it, because like most of the people that were there were like, nah, we've already done this. This is a terrible situation. This never ends good. I'm pretty sure that Wesley actually did take a couple hits, and he said it didn't even bother him or like affect him at all. But then it gets to that, okay, so let's put this into perspective, okay? Door right to the entrance, right? Like let's say we're literally looking straight. The door is right in the middle of, you know what I'm saying, the whole living room, kitchen. It's one of those, right when you come in, you have a kitchen little island kind of, you know what I mean? That is a pretty small area. It's supposed to be like the dinner table and where you chill. The kitchen, not that big. The living room, okay size, all together, you know what I mean? And just like any other apartment, right, when you walk in that little square, that's usually tile or something different that you're like supposed to put your feet or your shoes there. So that the dude had just walked in, and they were already passing around the K2. So the like kind of douchey looking guy. I don't want to say that because I didn't even know him, but he just kind of looks like the like pinkish peach kind of shorts, like buttoned up. You know what I'm saying? And like anyway though, so they were already passing it around, his friends, and then it gets to Wesley, which me and him were at the island, just sitting down on the chairs at the island, looking around. I'm looking at the living room, I'm looking at this dude, I'm looking at the door, I'm looking at the homies by me, and I'm talking to Wesley, who's like, bro, I'm gonna hit this fucking, because I remember him being like, bro, are you gonna hit this? And I was like, no, because I literally had smoked that shit when I was 16 and thought I was smoking rat poison. So no, I did not want to. And then I literally saw the effects of the people that were smoking it. Like not even that far away from me. I was like, fuck no. And so he's like, oh, bro, fuck it, I'm going to take a couple hits. And because I don't think he had done it. And I think that's why he wanted to. And I was like, you're crazy, bro. And he took a couple hits and he just like went silent for like 5 minutes and then was like, I didn't really feel much. And I was like, okay, so maybe he internally freaked out. I don't know. But now it gets to the kid that's standing by the door that is like his friend group. So I imagine this is like essentially his as well. He's standing up, takes like 2 big rips. And I mean, pretty big rips. And I'm just like sitting there looking, you know, baked out of my brain, probably a little buzzed. Anyway, he like gives it back, kind of wobbles a little bit. And I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. And then he turns around facing the door as if like he was gonna leave. And then instead of just like he literally went to like go grab it, but he was falling at the same time. And he just fucking bam, his nose and head just completely hit the wall and he like slid like it was like a cartoon or anime where they like even slid down slow. I was like, how did he not just directly fall? It was literally like type shit. And you can imagine he's literally in the middle of like a crowded room of like 14 people now in a pretty small apartment. And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is like, fuck, bro, are you okay? And then all his friends are like kind of laughing, but like the dudes next to him, the guys that were, you know, obviously rented the apartment that were worried that they could get kicked out or something, instantly was like, oh my God, bro, are you okay or whatever? And then he gets up and he's still like kind of unconscious. And then they like help him get outside. And then he just fucking puked everywhere. And I think he just like laid there on the ground outside. I'm pretty sure because I don't even know if he was okay, to be completely real, because I told you we left and he was still out there like kind of passed out. So I don't know. I mean, I never heard about any death or anything, you know. I think that we would have known about that. But I don't even know what happened to him. Like, I don't even understand what could have happened. I don't know. Does spice do that? Like, why is it that my homie's like, nah, it's not really affected me, but this guy took like 2 big hits? I mean, it could have been salvia maybe. And I know that you can take like really big bong rips or you can take really big dabs and you can actually pass out, but I just didn't know if you could really do that from K2 or salvia. Like I said, I think he was fine. I'm not 100% sure because that was probably around like 10 or 11, and I want to say that we left like an hour or 2 later. And he was just like right outside because it was like just a basic looking apartment, like it's divided by 2 and there's a open walkway, and you know what I mean? I imagine you know exactly what kind of apartment I'm talking about, with like nice little bushes in the front. He was just kind of laying on the wall like so I think that really fucked him up. He didn't come back in for the next hour or 2. Like I said, he had puked, passed out. And then when we went out, there was somebody with him though. I do remember that when we left, there was like somebody talking to him, but he just looked so like fucked up, I guess. I don't know. That right there is exactly why I don't like K2 or spice or salvia or any of that stuff. I just like basic flour. And I mean, I like concentrate, but you know, I'm really just a basic flour kind of guy, to be real. You guys let me know what you think about that story time. It was definitely crazy. I never saw that person again. We never saw that person again. We never went through the same dealer. I literally just met this random person. I can't remember a single name. Like, I don't even think I asked. And it was weird because I was a high schooler, a senior, like in high school, around all these college kids. I definitely felt weird, but I remember it was still a pretty chill time. Till that was a night ruiner for sure. But anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Much love. If you enjoyed the end bump, you can send your own to chillydillyendbumps@gmail.com.